Hello and welcome to today's video. Today I'm reviewing a new ink by Robert Oster. I've reviewed a lot of Robert Oster over the years. It's a brand I love and support, and this is the ink we're looking at today. This is Romeo and Juliet. This is a super interesting ink. I'll go into it in a bit more detail, but you can see it's got like a lovely base blue and some sort of different sort of colors and tones and things coming through. This is it on a swatch play card from Robert Oster, something lovely that they do for their customers. I'm going to look at it on some different kinds of paper, talk a little bit about the ink, and then show some color comparisons and stuff like that. Let's get cracking. Here is another card of this ink. This is the coloring card, and you can see a little bit more of that sort of multi-chroma sort of thing coming through there. This is really interesting and very, very beautiful. So I have the ink here on Tonal 68 GSM paper. Now this is, the good old stock. I had it in two pens, TWSBI Eco Broad and TWSBI Eco Extra Fine. I kept trying to write TWSBI Go because all my reviews are normally done with the TWSBI Go, but that had another ink in it that is for a review coming up. So I use the Ecos, same nibs. Okay, so let's start with the 5 points here. Australian made. This is the bottle, and Robert Oster inks are made in Australia. Australian colours to the world, for the world to enjoy. Made in Australia. Based in South Australia, and gets behind a lot of charities, all that kind of stuff. Really great company. Check them out if you, for some reason, are not familiar. Second point here is that they are safe and environmentally friendly. So all the ingredients in use are environmentally friendly, as are the bottles, and they're also safe for fountain pens and all kinds of pens. They don't have any sort of super weird properties or anything like that, and they're always, good for cleaning and all those kinds of basics that we look for in an ink that is safe for fountain pen use. Okay, now we get onto the ink. This is a unique multi-shading tonal ink. As they call it, a multi-chroma. Now, a really great example I've managed to create for that is this. Now, I will show this in a nice photo that really highlights some of those multi-chroma effects in the ink. But you can see it runs from these very light shading blues. By the way, this is 52 GSM Tonal River paper from the Robert Oster little pads that he produces. You can see it runs from this very lovely light blue through to beautiful, rich, dark, tealy grey blues, and then this like range of pinks and purples and pink greys and things. It's a really complex, very beautiful ink. So multi-chroma, which makes it very interesting. Limited release for September and October 2023. And as they say, together at last, Romeo and Juliet, together at last in one ink, which I think is the reference to some of the different colors that sort of come up in the ink together. So now let's talk about the performance. So I thought this is a beautifully light saturated ink, not super saturated. It's got enough color, as I said, with a wide tonal color range from gray, pinks to blue. Now, is that necessarily in the writing? Well, you do see elements of it in the writing, like where the ink pools, particularly in a wetter pen on really good quality fountain pen paper, like this Tonal River is, you can see points where you get the hits of that pink and the greys and things like that. But for the most part on the page, this runs a really lovely, like light pastel grey blue. It has a nice wet flow and nice readability on the page. So even in its lighter shading, it's still very, very clear. It's got low water resistance. We can see that here where I move it with a water brush pen or where I put water down and dab it up with paper towel. It is basically completely erased. You get a few points of the detail, but most of it is gone. And it's got a fair dry time, so after 20 seconds you can really see it starting to dry there. No cleaning issues and good performance on all paper as we are about to see. Extras here. No or low sheen. I couldn't make any sheen out on, and that's putting down a lot of ink on the Tonal River paper. So it's not sheen, it's just this multi-chroma effect. No shimmer, good shade and multi-shade. So you get all these different colors coming through. And as I said, low water resistance. I'll take a moment now to look at the chromatography here. And this gives it a good indication of what we actually see in the ink in I'll plot this Tonal River swatch again. So where the line has been left as that purple sort of grey colour, the pinky grey, and then it moves through the greens and the blues, and we can kind of see all of that. If we look at the shading around here, we get the lovely rich dark blue around the edge, and then hints of a green moving into the pinks. It's actually very beautiful. So looking at the reverse of this page, obviously in the writing nothing has come through, and because it is a lighter, more sort of pastel kind of color, you are going to get less show through as well on thinner paper like some of this Tonal River. So now if we look at it on lower end paper, we have it here on the student notepad paper. You see that it's a duller color here. This paper tends to do that to inks. It kind of wipes out a lot of the vibrancy. And there's a tiny bit of spread and some little bits of feathering, but we do get some shade and a little bit of the multi-shade just in some of these heavier patches of ink there. And if we look at the reverse, we actually see very little bleed, really, in comparison to some other inks. And I'll just pull up a sheet here which has a range of other inks on it. You can see like some of these inks bleed quite a lot. This one is actually doing pretty well indeed. Then we have it on the standard office copy paper. This is 80 GSM reflex copy paper. There's a little less feather and things like that. It's still, once again, sort of a more uniform, like grey blue kind of colour, or a cloudy blue, but once again, fairly good performance. It's doing well. Where we put down a lot of ink, obviously a bit more is coming through, and it's doing much better in the extra fine than it is in the broad. Once again, less ink, less coming through, but even in that broad, it's performing remarkably well. Then we have it here on this Rhodia page, Rhodia 80 GSM. This is where I put water down and just let it dry. It is gone. The writing is gone. It's all spread around. You can make out like maybe a couple of tiny points of detail, but nothing really. I think the swatch looks really nice here. That purple running through the middle there is quite beautiful. Very wet on this paper. More uniform color in the writing, but a nice vibrant version of the color. I like that a lot. And if we look at the reverse, there's nothing come through. Even the swatch hasn't come through. This ink does very, very well. These lower saturated inks can sometimes be a little too wet. This treads a nice fine line between wet and aiming for good performance. Okay, so let's now do a color comparison. I've got a couple of inks I want to show it alongside here. Firstly, I want to show it alongside two non-Robert Oster inks, and they are Wearing All's Lost and Sailor Mano Haha. Now, these are two multi-chroming inks from other brands. Lost tends to run like the blues and greens, and then Mano Haha, this particular one, the Mano inks do have a multi-chroming sort of feature in them. This one is the blue into the pinks and things like that. But this color is unique and quite beautiful. It's sort of a more pastel-y, rich blue kind of color, which I really enjoy. And I think it looks nice next to these in that sort of the range from those blues into that kind of pink. And it does it quite strongly as well. And then I'm going to show it alongside two Robert Oster inks. And the first one is US City's Miami, simply because I think this is one of the ones that shares some tonal color in the base blues that are similar. So it's got that sort of, what I call that cloudy blue, through the middle into some rich sort of darker blues. Has a tiny bit of sheen on it, but you can see the similarities there. And then I'm going to show it alongside this ink, Robert Oster's Fire and Ice. You can see it's a much lighter blue. It's a less vibrant, more pastel blue, and there's no sheen. The main reason I'm also showing Fire and Ice is because I have a bottle of Fire and Ice to give away to an Australian viewer. So if you are an Australian viewer watching this video, please comment down below. You have to subscribe to my channel as well. But please comment in the video below, in the comments below, sorry, about Robert Oster's inks and which one is your favorite, because I love to know what people are really interested in. And if this Romeo and Juliet is an ink that you would be interested in. So yeah, I will pick one Australian viewer who comments to win this bottle of Fire and Ice, thanks to Robert Oster there. I should also say here that this will be open for 7 days from the time this video is posted. Now, I'm not exactly sure when this video is going live just yet, but it'll be 7 days from that. And once it's closed, I will close it in the comments as well. But I'll put all this in the description, and I'll get in touch with you. I'll comment on your comment, and you can drop me an email, and we'll get that bottle of Fire and Ice to you. Okay, so let's talk about the price. Now, I found this bottle, as I'm filming this is still yet to be released. So I was given a bottle of this ahead of the release so I could do this review. But it is already being advertised at around the $18 US mark, and the standard bottles in Australia go for around 22. So for 50 mils, that's a pretty decent price. I think you're getting an interesting ink. You're getting an ink from a slightly smaller maker. You know, it's not the Diamonds and those kinds of companies. So yeah, like Robert Oster does well with his pricing, and he's really conscious of the pricing, and that makes a difference as well. So, score. I've given this 4.5 out of 5. You could probably tell from all my speaking about this ink that I really enjoy it. I think it's beautiful. I think it performs well. As I said, beautiful color, good performance, unique properties. I actually personally prefer this multi-chroma to sheen. I'm not a huge sheening ink fan. I like it occasionally, but this multi-chroma kind of effect makes the writing interesting for me. I enjoy that a lot. And even though light, it reads well, which is very, very important for me. So yeah, big thumbs up to Robert for this ink. 4.5. The only reason it's not 5 out of 5 is the low water resistance. For me, that's the deal breaker here. It may not be dark enough for some people to use professionally, but I think if you're using this, you know, as the standard like the headers and underlining perhaps, or needing something with a bit of pop on the page, or you just want to write with personality in your everyday writing, this is a lovely, lovely ink. So get on it while you can. It's a limited release for September, October. It may be available a little bit after that, depending on where the stock and how the stock sells, but we'll have to, that'll be up to you to be able to find it if it's still around. So a big thank you to Robert for making this ink available for me to review. I've really, really enjoyed it, and I'm enjoying using it. I hope you found this video interesting and useful. Please like and subscribe, hit the notifications button, all of that kind of stuff. Don't forget, if you're an Australian viewer, to leave me a comment below to be in the running to win this bottle of Fire and Ice ink. Beautiful ink. The ink that launched my channel and probably put Robert Oster on the map. So, once again, big thank you to Robert, and a big thank you to you. Please get in touch if there are products you'd like me to look at, or if you would like to support my channel, because I would love to hear from you. It's your support that makes all my videos possible, so a big thank you. In the meantime, whatever you're writing with, enjoy your inks, and I'll talk to you soon.